If you are a B2B service-based business owner and you are looking to gain more clients, create more impact and more revenue in your business, tune in to Amplify Your Marketing Message with Campbell Rapin. Every week, we're going to take you through how to build an audience of buyers, mastering your marketing message, and making offers that convert consistently. We'll see you all on the inside. Have you ever thought or heard in your circle of peer business owners, I think I need to burn my business to the ground? Well, there's a lot of people who build a business that feels suffocating, and we want you to not be one of them. You've been around our podcast for a while. You know that I believe firmly that your business should feel like oxygen, and it should be a business that is a spark that is evergreen. It means you can tap into it and you're willing to build and do the work because it's richly rewarding to you. And so I'm super excited to introduce you to our guest today, who runs an incredible community I had the opportunity to go play in. And she had something that was super important. She said to me, if you're building a business you hate, you're building it backwards. And I thought, oh, hell damn, is she right about that? Please give a very warm welcome to our guest today, Lisa Kempton. Super excited to have you here. Welcome.
Thank you so much, Christine. I am so excited to be here.
I got to ask you this question because you created a community and you see a lot of people probably at that phase of, I want to burn it down. Why do we even get there? And where do we need to start so that never becomes more than a nanosecond fantasy versus something we really have as an ongoing backtrack, like a really bad song?
So there's so many wonderful people out there with great advice, but not all advice is great for you, right? And so if you don't have an idea of what that end goal is, what you're really wanting to build and the life you want to have 5 years from now, 10 years from now, 20 years from now, then when you put systems into place, when you start to expand your team, you don't do it the way that builds the business you want. And therefore, that's when that, I just have to tear it all down and start over happens, because you realize that you're stuck in these systems, you're stuck in these ways of doing things that don't bring you joy. They don't bring you happiness, and they don't build what you're wanting to build.
And I think everyone creates that because there's a lot of sizzle. We all know it. There's a lot of sizzle in the marketplace. There's a lot of shiny objects. There's a lot of false and true promises. And in the absence of knowing what you want, it's easily to be led into buying complexity. So how do we know what we want? Where do we start this conversation so we don't want to burn it down?
So one question I like to ask people when I first start working with them, I'm like, what sounds the most fun to you? Do you want to have a business that you're in the business providing the service day after day after day and everything else runs on the back end without your help? Do you want to be that leader at the top who is directing everyone else on how you want your business to be run? Or do you want to be that person on the beach who's not worried about the business because it's just operating how they want it to do? And that gives me an idea of what they're really wanting to build to begin with. Because if we know that ultimate goal, and it can change, of course, over time, but most of the time people, they kind of know what they want, and that doesn't change. Then we reverse engineer that to where they are now. And that really helps us to get a good idea of what is next in their business.
I love that you phrase it from the perspective of what feels like fun. Because guys, again, this is a choice. Choosing to be an entrepreneur is a wild ride filled with many choices. But if it's not fun, what the heck are we doing? And everybody has to listen within to say, that's my idea of play, and that's my idea of not. Please, for the love of all of it, build something you fall in love with more than once. You have to fall in love with your business every day. Doesn't mean you love it every day, but you always have to go back to, I love what I'm creating.
Yeah, one of my favorite questions is to ask people what they love about their business. And then when they just can almost not contain the joy, like that's when you, oh yeah, you're on the right path. You're going to make it because you show up every single day and you find the joy, because there's going to be hard things happen. It gets crazy at times, but when you can find the joy in the day-to-day, in the little things in your business, that's when you know, yeah, it's inevitable. You're going to succeed.
It's inevitable. It's already done. Somebody asked me this morning in the early part of the conversation, they said, what is legacy for you? And I said, it is knowing I love my life and I'm living it day by day, chapter by chapter. And that is what is so important to me. And at the end of the conversation, I loved his response. He's like, I need you in my life. We should have another conversation. And I said, this is about your people. You are going to attract your people based on whether you love your business. And if you don't, why would I want to put money in your pocket? Like, I just have to ask this really quick, simple question. I want to be around people who love what they're doing. I want to be in people who love similar things to me, because when we're searching as buyers, we're looking for like. And yet, so many people go into the cookie cutter advice. How do we stop buying into the easy path of cookie cutter?
For one thing, there is no easy path. Promise you that. No matter what path you go down, it is going to be hard and you are going to want to give up at times. So like if someone says that it's easy, they're probably trying to sell you something, which we all are. But the point is like, there is no easy, but there's easier for you. There's something that's aligned with you, with how you already show up in the world. And so if you can tap into that and reverse engineer from this, what you're trying to build, that's when you don't go off too much. You might have to pivot here and there a little bit, but it's not like, what did I build and why did I build it? Because nothing sounds fun anymore. Nothing feels good. It just feels like drudgery every single day.
So how do you work with your clients to draw out these unique strengths? Because a lot of people don't know what they're naturally good at, because it doesn't feel heavy. It feels inconsequential in its ease. So how do you start with that with your clients? Because if you're going to start with the end in mind and work backwards, what makes us all unique and how do you figure that out?
So much of it is like, if I were to say to you, like, how does it feel if I said you needed to show up online every day for 60 days? And their initial response is like, oh, that sounds terrible. Then like that's probably not the way to build your business. Now, I'm not saying that you can't add that in later, but when you're first starting, you don't want to have to like drag yourself out of bed every day to do what it is. So then I'll say, okay, how does it feel to like go to networking groups or to, like the different kinds of ways that you can get in front of new people? And we'll just chat about it. And through that conversation, typically I can tell when someone gets to be a little bit more excited about an idea. Because I always say there's 100 ways to build a business. But some of them are going to take you way out to Siberia and then you got to trek back. And others are going to be like aligned with you. So let's build it the right way the first time and figure out go ahead.
Fascinating. You said like, where do you want to start? Because this is also where comparison isn't helpful. And cookie cutter is really dangerous because you are building based on somebody else's journey that is in a different space, different life choices. And it's easy to get caught in, well, they do it this way, so I should do it this way. I'm like, no, we don't want the same things and we're not in the same distance. I love that you said that. Where do you want to start? Because if you don't start with some element of smooth, it's easy to give up.
And to reiterate what you said about like, you are not the same as the person who's saying how you should do it. The world is not the same as it was when they started their business. Yeah. Even a year ago, AI has completely changed the way that businesses run. So someone who's tells you how they did it 5 years ago, that's probably not going to work in today's day and age. So not necessarily falling in the trap of, well, it worked for them, so it should work for me, is probably the best advice you could have at this moment in time, because I call it the wild, wild west of marketing right now. It is the wild, wild west. Everyone has to figure out what works for them because nothing is working like it was.
Yeah. It's always evolving. And I think the thing that breaks my heart the most when I have people come into our ecosystem and get into conversation of like, where do you want your business to go? Where are you currently and why is there this gap? And the number one thing I hear is, I bought into a program, 3 steps, 5 steps, 7 steps, whatever it is. And it's my fault I'm failing because they told me it works for them. And I'm like, sure, that's also to their advantage to sell you that. And you're not at fault because you're not succeeding in their methodology. Let's unpack, to your point, what makes you you? How do we build in your unique strengths? How do we look energetically about elements that feel more like oxygen and play? It will get easier once we realize it can be our ticket to write. We can choose how to structure this. However, people fear failure. They fear trusting themselves, especially in the early days. Trust me, we fear failing all the time. It's just part of our human biology. We are wired to think, how do I be safe? Not how do I be messy and loud? But failure is something we fear. So how do you help clients when they're bumbling around?
So I don't think anything's bumbling around. I think it's all experimentation. And that's where you really learn what comes naturally to you and what doesn't, what feels good to you and what doesn't. You're going to have to try multiple things. And that's okay. And that's part of the process. I love, like I've tried so many different things. I cannot tell you the number of times I've tried to start a Facebook group because like I love the idea of a Facebook group. I love the Facebook groups that I'm in. I love the community aspect of it. And then to wake up every day and to feel like I need to go and post in my Facebook group it just feels yucky to me. And so I've just finally decided that is not right for me. It's right for so many people out there or some version of Facebook group. There's plenty. But, that's not the way that I want to show up in the world. And I'm okay with that. So then that opened me up from doing what I should do to discovering ways of being a little bit more outside of the box, a little bit more uniquely me, what I like to do. Systems and processes are my jam. That's what I enjoy. And so figuring out ways to take kind of the normal way of doing something and create it a little bit different, a little bit, more expansive, that's exciting to me. That makes me want to show up every day. But other people are like, oh, that's the worst part of business. And I'm like, you can think that, that's fine. I'm totally cool with that. I love it. So whenever, I love the term should on yourself. Whenever you should on yourself in your business, now there's going to be things you don't want to do. But whenever you're shoulding day after day after day, you're not going down the right path, almost guaranteed.
And just because you love the experience of something doesn't mean you want to create that experience for your business. To that point, I think I feel the same way about Facebook groups. I love community. And so if the goal is I love community, but when I have looked at what is in the back end to sustain, to create, is it joyful? I also have the question of it's not my preferred place. And to the point is find your preferred place and get better at it. And to your point, I found ways that I could do it in a new way. And I would have said, I made it more Lisa. I made it more my own way. And then people say, you've got your own unique way. And I'm like, yes, because I'm pulling my own unique audience. I am clear with what I stand for, clear with how I want to show up. And you're going to come into my experience and decide I'm either in the right place. I want to put up a seat, sit at the table, or I'm going to be, no, this isn't my jam, and move on. And the cool thing is somebody else's jam will be your space that you want to be as a guest or as an audience member. But you also really get to say, trust that the experimentation will bring your people. Mm. And those people can change. As you're experimenting, your audience might change, and that's okay. There's always another audience. But you help people build systems. So what does it take to have successful automation or successful systems to create a business that we don't want to walk away from frequently?
So this is really good to know you also, because it's not going to be easy to create a system. And so if it's something that you're just one-offing or most of the time, that's not going to be worth it. It needs to be something that you're going to do regularly in your business. And there has to be like a little bit of, I honestly hate doing this in my business because if you love it, then it's not a big deal and you'll just do it. But if it's a little bit of like, oh, this is monotonous, then it's really exciting when you create a system around that. Or if you're just going, I have no extra time in my business, that's when creating those systems really makes sense, because it does take time. It does take energy. It does. We talked about failure, right? There will be failure. Things will go wrong. It's almost inevitable. But when you create that system that really does take more arduous tasks off your plate, it really frees you up to be much more creative in your day-to-day. Yeah. So like I just had an event last night. And so the first time I did it, I have all these videos I have to upload and I have to do these things with. And the first time it took me almost the whole day. I was like, absolutely not. I'm going to figure out how to automate this. So I automated it, and then, which was another day to automate. But then when I went to do it the next time, it took me 1 hour to do it. And every subsequent time, it's going to take me 1 hour to get those videos up and everything situated instead of that. So that's what you need to really look at. Like, what is the investment that if I put the investment in the beginning, what do I get later from it?
This is key, because I think some people get systems before they get experience. And I think that's sometimes our big mistake. I work with a lot of people to create dashboards, to create and utilize a CRM. And I said, you've bought something off the shelf before you've had enough conversations. You don't know what to track yet. You don't know what you're going to use. And while the CRM is going to be garbage in or garbage out, or going to be great information to make grade decisions that change your future, it is important that you have experimentation first. And once you live with a system, it is about, does it serve as it intended? Can I simplify it and can I tweak it? Everything is about the evolution.
Absolutely.
The gain has to be there. And too often, I just see it time and time again. People go, I'm so busy in the systems. I said, you haven't got anything to really need the system for yet. Hold tight, wait. And when you're ready, absolutely get good tools, get good support, get somebody who's a good architect, brain, strategy, different directional to say, let's talk about sequences. Because if you're not wired to see patterns, you will create a chaotic system.
And you don't know why things work then either.
Yes.
Like, it's only when you're down in the trenches of it and you get that instant feedback on things. It's when you see, oh, okay, like when I did this, I got this result. That's when you know where to go next. And if you've automated it all ahead of time, then you don't know what breaks, why it breaks, what works well, why it works well. So, I oftentimes will stress myself out by making myself do a certain task or a certain event or a certain sequence over and over and over again to see all the pitfalls. Because I know that if I can see it all and know exactly what I want to accomplish and why I want to accomplish it, then when I go to automate it, it's going to be so much easier. But there's so many times that
two geeks. I love this on so many levels.
Yeah.
I just went through this with my dad, who is a senior with some memory issues, and we were going through the sequencing to get access to something, and the sequencing to get access to something, and the sequencing to get access. And he's like, can't we just automate this? And I'm like, unfortunately, the automation's broken. So we have to go back to the system. We have to go back to the sequence. And it can be so important to know frustration is not unusual, but stay the course, really understand how things integrate, and then be choiceful about, this is a good benefit to get there.
Yeah.
So I want to ask you, because I ask all my guests this, what's working right now in your business to grow, to find your clients, to find your people, and to serve more people? What's working right now?
Well, I mean, of course, I'm going to say AI, because AI is taking so much off my plate. I will do that with the caveat of AI is one of those things of garbage in, garbage out. Like, sometimes if you're not doing it the right way, you're actually hurting your business instead of helping it, or it's just going to break sometimes, just like any automation. You got to pay attention to it. You can't let it go amok. But what I find is AI is great for refining and seeing patterns and things like that, that I take that information and do more with. So one of the things that I'm telling everyone about, because it just has been a game changer, is, the follow-up always can be difficult, especially if you want to make it personalized with people. So when I have a sales call, but even just like a getting to know you type of thing, I will record that through, I like Fathom, but there's so many note takers out there. It doesn't really matter as long as you can get the transcript from it. And I go throw that transcript into some sort of model, typically OpenAI. And I ask, pull out the pain points that this person is experiencing, or what could be some further conversations that we have together. And, you can go create content around that. You can create emails, follow-up sequence around that, all that type of thing, because in that moment, it's so top of mind and it makes so much sense. Even 24 hours later, you're going to be like, what did we talk about? Why did we talk about that again? I don't quite remember. And you're not going to be as effective. So I love that. It's a very simple thing. Anyone can do it. You don't have to be good with AI at all, but it can totally level up your follow-up.
I love how you're using it to look for the patterns, because let's be clear, even great pattern speakers and seekers and people who can connect the dots, which both you and I are, we can't see our own patterns. It's really hard to see your own ears. So I love that you're taking the concept and saying, tell me what patterns you see in this, and using that and gut checking it to saying, okay, how can I test it? That's that iteration piece. Experiment with this by putting it into content and saying, does it resonate? Does it move something? And if it moves it, can I speed it up? And I think that that's fantastic. I love that you're sharing that. So we want to know, you do great work. Tell us how people find you.
So right now, the biggest thing that I am trying to get known for and really putting out there in the world is I have an event. We're doing it starting next month. It's going to go every odd month, but it's called Ask the Expert Anything. And that's how we met. So you came on as one of my experts. And what I try and do is get a bunch of different people with a lot of different types of knowledge together in a room. And everyone there, their goal is to help businesses move faster, get unstuck, feel like they know what's next and how they can grow and expand. So it could be something about AI, or it could be messaging, or it could be mindset, or it could be just like additional skills that you need to be a better leader, whatever it is. Having all these experts in one place where you can go from room to room to room and ask your questions about your business. So we talked about not taking cookie cutter advice. Like, this is the ultimate for that. You get to ask exactly what you need for your business. So that's kind of the best way to get to know me, is just go to, or connect with me, is go to Ask the Expert Anything, register for one of our next events, or reach out if you're interested in being an expert, Lisa at claritymarketingagency.com.
Guys, you should go connect to Lisa. I had the absolute pleasure of being in her community. It was a lot of fun. People came prepared with questions that made it really easy to respond to customized advice and something in a group environment where others can learn from it. So go find Lisa. It has been an absolute pleasure to have you as our guest today. This is the important conversation we're having today. What can you do to build your business so that you love it every single day? Thanks for being our guest, Lisa. Super fun to have you. Guys, everybody here, make sure that you do go connect to Lisa. Make sure you take advantage of this. If you are a speaker, go apply. If you are a business owner looking to get your butt moved in the next direction, you should be in that room. It's one I highly recommend. We'll see you all on our next episode. That's a wrap on another amazing episode of Amplify Your Marketing Message with me, your host, Christine Campbell Rapin. Be sure to subscribe on your favorite podcast platform so you don't miss another great episode. And be sure to visit christinecampbellrapin.com/podcast to get a free resource on how to master your marketing message. We'll see you all on our next episode.